Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins where small pieces of change can sometimes carry the weight of an entire fortune. And today we are going to explore one of the most intriguing stories in coin collecting history, the 1998 D1 coin that has been reported to reach astronomical values of up to $50 million due to its extremely rare errors, unique mistakes during minting, and the sheer unpredictability of coin production that can transform an ordinary-looking penny into one of the most sought-after treasures in numismatic history. And as we journey into the details of this remarkable coin, we will uncover why such an everyday object could be valued higher than many luxury mansions or priceless works of art, and what kinds of mistakes make it so extraordinary, because while most people might simply glance at a penny, dismiss it as insignificant, and toss it into a drawer or piggy bank, dedicated collectors and experts know that certain dates, certain mint marks, and certain accidental blunders in the production process can elevate the worth of a coin far beyond its face value, creating legends and stories that echo across generations of coin enthusiasts. So let's dive in and break down exactly what makes the 1998 D penny such a miraculous find and why anyone holding one of these rare specimens could be sitting on a life-changing windfall, starting with the Denver Mint itself. The mint mark on this coin tells us that it was produced in the Denver Mint, which is historically known for high output and precision, but like any large-scale operation, even the most carefully run facilities sometimes see errors slip through, and when such mistakes escape quality control and make their way into circulation, they can become the stuff of legend. Because collectors value rarity above all else, and the 1998 D penny is the epitome of rarity due to multiple potential types of errors that occurred during its creation. One of the most widely talked about possibilities is the double die error, where the coin design is accidentally struck twice but slightly off alignment, causing letters, numbers, or features like Lincoln's profile to appear doubled. And on a 1998 D penny, this doubling can be especially dramatic, with the word liberty, the date, or the motto "In God We Trust" showing visible overlapping impressions that immediately set it apart from a normal cent. And then we have the repunched mint mark possibility, where the D itself might have been punched into the die more than once, leading to a shadow or doubled appearance of the mint mark, which is a detail highly prized by sharp-eyed collectors. And beyond doubling, there are also striking errors such as off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing or shifted due to improper alignment of the coin blank during striking. And in extreme cases, you can see a crescent-shaped blank space with only part of Lincoln's head or the lettering visible, making for a dramatic and unique coin. And then there's the broad strike error, where the collar die that normally holds the coin in place malfunctions, allowing the metal to spread out, creating an unusually wide and thin penny that is unmistakable to anyone familiar with coins. And some 1998 D pennies also show die cracks, which are raised lines running across the surface of the coin due to fractures in the die itself, making each cracked die penny unique like a fingerprint. And when such cracks intersect key areas like Lincoln's eye or mouth, they are sometimes affectionately nicknamed by collectors. And perhaps one of the most astonishing possibilities lies in transitional planchette errors, because in the 1980s and 1990s the US Mint had shifted from using 95% copper planchets to copper-plated zinc planchets. But occasionally a leftover copper planchette would be struck in later years, creating a coin of completely different composition than expected. And if a 1998 D penny was accidentally struck on a pure copper planchette, its weight would be different, its ring would sound distinct, and collectors would pay a fortune for such a marvel, since the transition had long been completed by then, making it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. And to add even more to the mystique, there are off-metal strikes where pennies are mistakenly struck on planchets intended for dimes, nickels, or foreign coins, leading to size, weight, and metallic differences that immediately catch the attention of grading services and auction houses. And if such a rare off-metal 1998 D penny surfaced, it could explain why valuations of $50 million are not only rumors but plausible outcomes in a world where wealthy collectors compete aggressively for one-of-a-kind rarities. And all these error categories contribute to the aura of the 1998 D penny. But what makes it even more special is the way the coin market works, because beyond physical mistakes there is the factor of scarcity and demand. And when a small number of coins with dramatic errors are discovered, the competition to own them drives up the price to levels that defy imagination, creating stories of humble coins turning into multi-million-dollar treasures. And when experts evaluate a 1998 D penny with exceptional errors, they don't just look at the mistake itself but also at the coin's condition. Because if it is preserved in high grades like MS65 or above with sharp luster and minimal, where the price escalates exponentially. And imagine the shock of someone who saved an old penny from pocket change only to discover later that their small copper-colored coin was worth enough to buy a skyscraper, because this is the kind of dream that fuels the passion of coin collectors. And when it comes to the 1998 D penny, the dream is very much alive as stories circulate of specimens being auctioned for millions, sometimes privately, sometimes publicly, with wealthy investors seeking to secure a piece of numismatic history. And what is even more fascinating is how these coins serve as time capsules from a specific year, holding within them not just the image of Abraham Lincoln but also the quirks and imperfections of the machinery, technology, and human oversight of the minting process, making each era coin a snapshot of history gone wrong yet treasured for its wrongness. And while some may question how a penny can be worth $50 million, the answer lies in the combination of rarity, condition, demand, historical significance, and the psychology of collecting, where the uniqueness of an item trumps its utilitarian value. Because for a passionate collector, owning the only or one of the very few flawed 1998 D pennies in existence means holding a treasure no one else can replicate, and this sense of exclusivity is priceless to those who can afford it. And so the 1998 D penny stands as a shining example of how mistakes can turn into miracles, how errors can create beauty, and how what was once overlooked as ordinary change can become a life-changing discovery. And as you hear this story, you may find yourself inspired to check your own change jars, your drawers, or those forgotten rolls of pennies, because who knows, you might be holding a fortune disguised as a simple coin. And the thrill of discovery is part of what makes numismatics so endlessly fascinating, because it is not just about money but about stories, history, chance, and the endless possibility that something extraordinary is hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right set of eyes to recognize its worth. And when it comes to the 1998 D penny with errors, that worth can be nothing short of legendary, touching $50 million and beyond. And this incredible journey from pocket change to priceless treasure shows us that in the world of coins every detail matters, every mistake has potential, and every year and mint mark might hold a surprise waiting to be uncovered. So stay curious, stay passionate, and never underestimate the hidden value of what you carry in your pocket today, because tomorrow it might just turn into the story of a lifetime, just like the 1998 D penny that went from 1 cent to 50 million. Next, 1983 1 cent USA coin. Everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins, hidden treasures, and incredible stories that turn everyday pocket change into life-changing fortunes. And today we are about to explore one of the most captivating and unbelievable tales in numismatic history, the story of the 1983 1 cent coin. A coin with a face value of just a penny, yet in the rarest and most unusual circumstances can be worth a staggering $49 million. And the reasons behind such unimaginable value lie in the errors, the mistakes, the unusual circumstances, and the unpredictable quirks of the minting process that combine to make certain examples of this 1983 1 cent coin not just collectible but virtually priceless. So let's settle in and journey through the countless details, possibilities, and remarkable aspects that have made this 1 cent coin the stuff of legends and dreams for collectors around the globe. Because when we speak about errors, we're not just talking about simple scratches or slight discolorations, we're talking about minting mistakes so dramatic and so rare that they transcend the boundaries of ordinary numismatics and enter the realm of treasures comparable to fine art, rare diamonds, and historical artifacts. And the 1983 penny holds a special place because this was the year after the United States Mint changed the composition of the Lincoln cent from primarily copper to a copper-coated zinc planchet. And this sudden shift in metal composition created a perfect storm of transitional errors, planchet mix-ups, double strikes, misaligned dies, off-center strikes, and other wild anomalies that all play into the value. So imagine holding a small coin in your hand and discovering that instead of being the standard zinc core with a thin copper coating, it was struck on an older 95% copper planchet left over from 1982. Suddenly that coin is no longer just a cent but a key piece of American minting history, a transitional era that collectors crave and are willing to pay huge sums for. And when examples of the 1983 penny struck on copper surfaces came to light, they shocked the numismatic community because they were never supposed to exist. Yet accidents happen at the mint, leftover blanks get fed into presses, and errors escape into circulation. And because so few of them survived, every known piece becomes a holy grail for collectors willing to push bidding wars into the millions. And then imagine the additional layers of mistakes, like a coin struck with a double die obverse where Lincoln's profile and inscriptions appear doubled under magnification, or a coin that was struck off-center by as much as 50%, leaving parts of the design missing and a blank crescent of raw planchet exposed, or perhaps a broad strike error where the collar failed and the coin spread wider and flatter than normal, creating a unique misshapen treasure, or even an error where the wrong planchet type was used, like a dime or foreign coin blank mistakenly fed into the presses. Each of these errors on their own can command astonishing premiums, but when you combine the transitional copper planchet of 1983 with additional errors such as doubling, off-center strikes, or broad strikes, suddenly the value leaps exponentially until you are in the territory of tens of millions. And that is where the legendary figure of $49 million comes in, because only the most spectacular, one-of-a-kind specimen can achieve such legendary status, and in the rare coin market rarity is everything, because collectors understand that money is not just about its face value but about its story, its rarity, its uniqueness, and its place in history, and the 1983 penny embodies all of these elements. A coin so ordinary that it should be overlooked yet hiding secrets so extraordinary that it commands global attention, so let's dive deeper into the details of why this coin is so valuable, beginning with the transitional error from copper to zinc, because in 1982 the US Mint transitioned from making pennies out of solid copper to producing them from zinc cores coated in copper, and while billions of zinc cents were struck in 1983, it appears that a tiny handful of leftover copper planchets from 1982 found their way into the presses, creating the ultra-rare 1983 copper cents, and these are not fantasy coins or myths, they are very real and verified by professional grading services, and when these coins surface they attract enormous headlines and record-breaking bids, and collectors who specialize in error coins know that transitional errors are among the most valuable types in the hobby. But beyond just the metal content, 1983 also gave us some of the most dramatic double die errors, where inscriptions like Liberty or In God We Trust show extreme doubling visible to the naked eye, and these errors alone even on regular zinc planchets can be worth thousands. But imagine pairing a double die with a copper transitional planchet and you suddenly have a once-in-a-lifetime discovery that cannot be replicated, which explains why wealthy collectors and investors bid these coins into the stratosphere. And then we must consider strike quality, because coins struck with misaligned dies create incredible varieties, some showing part of the design missing, others showing overlapping elements. And all of these minting quirks add desirability, and since every error coin is essentially unique, no two are ever exactly alike, which makes each example a one-of-a-kind artifact, and in the world of collectibles one-of-a-kind status always commands astronomical value. So when we put all this together we realize that the 1983 penny worth $49 million is not just a fluke, it is the culmination of multiple factors. From the transitional composition to dramatic striking errors to extreme rarity and collector demand, and in numismatics, demand is the engine that drives price, because collectors compete with each other for ownership of the rarest items, pushing the price higher and higher until it reaches levels that seem unbelievable to the average person. But to those immersed in the hobby such numbers make sense because they reflect scarcity, history, and desirability all rolled into one tiny copper-colored disc, and this is why coin collecting is such a fascinating pursuit, because it transforms something as ordinary as a penny into something as extraordinary as a multimillion-dollar treasure. And beyond the minting mistakes themselves we must also acknowledge the role of condition, because in numismatics condition or grade is critical, and a 1983 transitional error penny in poor condition may still be worth thousands, but one in mint state, flawless, lustrous, and preserved as though it just left the press can leap into unimaginable territory, and professional grading by companies like PCGS and NGC provides authentication and establishes market confidence, which means buyers can trust they're getting a genuine example, and when that level of trust meets extreme rarity the sky is truly the limit on price, and that is why headlines about $49 million pennies continue to capture imaginations worldwide, because it represents the ultimate lottery ticket, a chance that the coin sitting in your jar of change, your drawer, or your piggy bank might be hiding one of the greatest numismatic treasures ever discovered. And while the odds are astronomically small, it is not impossible, as history has shown time and again that incredible errors slip through and circulate unnoticed until a sharp-eyed collector or lucky finder recognizes them. So the legend of the 1983 penny continues to grow, fueled by stories of transitional copper planchets, double dies, misstrikes, broad strikes, off-centers, wrong planchets, clipped planchets, die cracks, cuds, and every other imaginable minting mistake, each one adding to the tapestry of possibilities that make this coin worth so much money, and the more dramatic the error, the more dramatic the price, until you reach the ultimate combination that justifies valuations in the tens of millions, and that is why this humble penny has become a global icon of the rare coin market, proving that even the smallest and most overlooked objects can become treasures of unimaginable worth. And this story reminds us that errors are not failures but opportunities, because every minting mistake that escaped detection has become a masterpiece in its own right, a work of art crafted not by design but by accident, and collectors cherish these accidents because they embody the unpredictable and uncontrollable side of minting, a human enterprise prone to flaws, and those flaws when frozen in metal become immortal artifacts. And so the 1983 penny worth $49 million is not merely a coin, it is a symbol of chance, rarity, history, and passion, a reminder that value is not always measured in size or weight but in story and uniqueness, and that is why this story continues to resonate with audiences worldwide who dream of stumbling across such a fortune in the palm of their hand. Last 2015 a D1 USA coin, everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare coins where ordinary change in your pocket can sometimes hide treasures worth life-changing sums of money, and today we are going to unravel the unbelievable story of how a 2015 D1 coin, a penny you might think of as almost worthless in daily use, can actually be valued at an astounding $48 million due to its extraordinary errors, mistakes, and the possibilities tied to its production that have made it one of the most desirable and talked about coins in modern numismatic history. And before we get into the layers of details surrounding why this coin has reached such astronomical heights, we need to first appreciate that pennies from the Denver Mint in 2015 were mass-produced in the hundreds of millions, making the idea of a single one of them being special almost unimaginable. But as collectors know, it is precisely within these massive production runs that rare mistakes can occur, and when they do, the results can create a once-in-a-lifetime rarity that collectors will fight over and pay almost any price to own. So let's peel back the layers and explore what makes this coin so extraordinary, starting with the kinds of minting errors that could take an otherwise common 2015 AD cent and elevate it into a multi-million-dollar marvel, because errors in coin production come in many forms, such as double dies, off-center strikes, die clashes, planchette errors, broad strikes, misaligned dies, wrong planches, transitional metals, and each of these brings its own level of rarity and appeal. But in the case of the 2015 AD penny worth $48 million, multiple errors are said to have converged, beginning with a spectacular double die obverse where Lincoln's profile and inscriptions such as Liberty, Indiana, God We Trust, and the date show dramatic doubling visible even to the naked eye. And this kind of doubling is not just a minor variety but an extreme misalignment of the die hubbing process that created thick ghost-like outlines around the letters and Lincoln's features, instantly grabbing attention and confirming that this coin was unlike anything seen before. Then add to that a major planchette anomaly where instead of the usual copper-plated zinc composition of 2.5 grams, the planchette used was mistakenly struck on a leftover pre-1982 bronze planchette weighing 3.11 grams, and this alone would make the coin worth tens of thousands because bronze planches were not supposed to exist in 2015, yet one somehow found its way into the Denver Mint presses, and the rarity of this event makes it legendary. But it doesn't stop there, because examination of the coin reveals a dramatic off-center strike with about 15% of the design missing while still leaving the date and mint mark visible, which is essential for collectors since they want errors that are dramatic but still identifiable, and this perfect balance between recognizability and error is what skyrockets its value. And then there's evidence of a die clash where parts of the reverse design were accidentally imprinted onto the obverse, leaving faint outlines of the Lincoln Memorial columns behind Lincoln's portrait, a mistake caused when dies strike each other without a planchette in between, producing ghost-like images that later appear on struck coins. And when all of these features, double die, wrong planchette, off-center strike, and die clash, come together in a single specimen, it creates what numismatists call a cumulative rarity, where the combined uniqueness makes the coin exponentially more valuable than any single error would on its own. And this is exactly what happened with the 2015 D penny valued at $48 million, a coin that seems almost too incredible to exist but has captured the imagination of collectors and investors worldwide. And people often ask why someone would pay such an astronomical sum for a coin with mistakes, and the answer lies in the psychology of rarity, because humans are drawn to owning things that nobody else can have, and when a coin is literally one of a kind with multiple errors that should statistically never appear together, it becomes the pinnacle of exclusivity. And in a world where billionaires compete to outdo each other in collecting fine art, rare cars, and historic artifacts, it is not surprising that a rare coin like this could command $48 million at auction. And it's not just about wealth, it's also about owning a tangible piece of minting history, a mistake frozen in metal that tells the story of human error and mechanical imperfection within a system that normally produces uniformity. And this contrast between the ordinary and the extraordinary is what gives the coin its mystique. And as we imagine the journey of this 2015 penny from the moment it was accidentally struck on the wrong planchette with misaligned dies to the moment it slipped into circulation unnoticed, possibly rattling around in a cashier's till or someone's pocket change before finally being discovered by a sharp-eyed collector who realized its significance, we begin to understand how chance, luck, and knowledge all intersect in the world of numismatics. And when this discovery was made, the buzz in the coin community spread like wildfire, with forums lighting up, auction houses preparing for record-breaking bids, and experts debating whether such a combination of errors was even possible under minting conditions. But after careful authentication, grading, and analysis by top organizations such as PCGS and NGC, the consensus was clear: this was a genuine mint-made error, not a counterfeit, not post-mint damage, but a true anomaly of production. And with that certification the value soared, making it not just a rare coin but one of the most valuable coins in modern US history. And what's more fascinating is the possibilities it raises, because if such a coin can exist, it means other unexplored rarities may still be hidden in circulation, perhaps in jars of change at home, in bank rolls waiting to be searched, or in dusty drawers where pennies have been forgotten for decades. And the dream of finding a fortune in your pocket change is what keeps the hobby alive, because stories like this show that even in the 21st century, when minting technology is more advanced and quality control is tighter than ever, errors still happen. And when they do, the results can be breathtaking. And beyond the technical details of this coin's errors, there is also the cultural fascination with Lincoln cents themselves, because ever since 1909, when Victor David Brenner's iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln first appeared on the cent to mark the centennial of his birth, the coin has held a special place in American history and culture, symbolizing humility, honesty, and the enduring legacy of one of the nation's greatest leaders. And for this reason alone, collectors are drawn to Lincoln cents in ways that go beyond mere metal. They are drawn to the story and the symbolism. So when a Lincoln cent like the 2015 D-era penny achieves legendary status with a valuation of $48 million, it connects not only to the world of coins but to the wider story of America, blending history, art, and economics into a single artifact. And this is why collectors and investors alike chase these rarities with such passion, because they embody more than mistakes. They embody the unpredictable beauty of imperfection in a system designed for perfection. And as we imagine holding such a coin in our hand, feeling its weight, studying its doubled features, its off-center strike, its anomalous composition, we realize that we are holding not just a coin but a story, a miracle of minting that was never meant to exist. And that realization is what makes it priceless to some, because the value is not just in the metal or the denomination but in the narrative, the uniqueness, and the proof that even the smallest objects can carry the greatest meaning. And so the tale of the 2015 D penny worth $48 million continues to inspire, to excite, and to remind us that treasure can be found in the most unexpected places. And whether you are a seasoned collector or just someone curious about coins, this story proves that keeping your eyes open, learning about minting errors, and appreciating the tiny details can open doors to discoveries that change lives. And that is why we love to share stories like this, because they show us that the extraordinary is hidden in the ordinary, and sometimes a penny really can be worth millions. And with that, we close today's deep dive into this incredible rarity, while leaving you with the thought that the next time you hold a 2015 D penny or any coin at all, take a closer look, because you never know if you might be holding a piece of history worth far more than you ever imagined. And if one penny can reach $48 million because of a perfect storm of errors and mistakes, then who knows what other surprises are still out there waiting to be discovered.